In this video, we will explore the mysteries surrounding the Twitter accounts 312 and OYAGAA-OOMO-NETWORK. We will examine their origins, cryptic messages, and the profound symbolism they convey. The 312 account was created on March 28, 2020, a significant date corresponding to the anniversary of their first arrival on Earth. Meanwhile, the OY account was opened by OAXIIBOO-6 on April 25, 2015, though it initially surfaced in June 2012. The first tweet by 312, published on March 28, 2020, immediately raises curiosity. It establishes a correlation between A and alpha, offering an explanation for its alias. The lowercase o it uses is also derived from ancient Greek omega, later evolving into O, and is identical to our modern O. The second tweet references the Emerald Tablet, a legendary stone containing a philosophical code tied to hermeneutics. The opening phrase, translated from Greek, emphasizes the absolute truth of a given knowledge. It is true without falsehood, certain and most true. This powerful assertion is repeated in a ternary rhythm to underline its significance. It continues, "That which is above is like to that which is below, and that which is below is like to that which is above." This second part reimagines transcendence as horizontal rather than vertical and hierarchical, making it accessible to all. Both accounts, 312 and OY, appear to have revealed a significant part of humanity's history. Their messages draw inspiration from the Judeo-reptilian conspiracy lore, notably popularized by David Icke. But what are they truly trying to tell us? Here we aim to share our theory about the meaning behind the names of these two Twitter accounts. On August 31, 2021, 312 shared a link to Babélia for the first time. The link contained an intriguing image, a timeline spanning -33,000 to 3,000. It was accompanied by a poem in Alexandrines, similar to one shared on June 2, 2021. However, this time, the final line was missing due to Twitter's character limit. That crucial phrase stated, "Do not trust the incitement of strangers you encounter." This warning alludes to treaties signed in 1954 and 1966 between the Grey Aliens and the Reptilians, aka Orion's dominions, and a minority of humans who see themselves as humanity's representatives. The timeline outlines humanity's history, linked to the Orion civilization and the Tauris, -33,000, discovery of Earth, genetic modifications on humanity. -21,000, settlement on Earth to enslave humanity for resources exploitation. -4,000, forced departure by spiritually advanced civilizations and internal conflicts. Later, 4 images named YHWH 1-4 reveal that Orion representatives allegedly forged a pact with the Israelites under the name Elohim. This pact entailed total submission to the Orions. A seraphim claiming to inherit this power justified Orion's guardianship of Earth and its inhabitants. In Hebrew culture and Jewish religion, the name of the Almighty God is unpronounceable. To avoid it, the letters YHWH are used, composed solely of consonants, rendering the name impossible to vocalize. This emphasizes its omnipotence, transcendence, and sanctity. The H is sometimes considered sacred by exegetes, linked to suspended breath, which explains its double occurrence in YHWH. According to Kabbalah and Jewish mystics, each letter holds profound significance. These letters are reserved for ancient and sacred texts, notably those of the Old Testament Deuteronomy and other writings transmitted by the Hebrews Elohim. Among texts discovered in the 1950s, notably the Dead Sea Scrolls, parchments revealed a script that allowed for the oral pronunciation of the sacred name YHWH, previously forbidden. The name Yahoo, sometimes written with Y, Y, or I, iota, in the Greek alphabet, appears in ancient texts like the Papyrus Amherst 63 in Demotic script, around 300 years before current era, and the Septuagint manuscripts in ancient Greek, around 100 years before current era. These documents reflect its oral and written transmission in religious, mystical, and cultural contexts. The removal of the H from Yahoo to form Yahoo is interpreted by some exegetes as a desacralization. This mirrors symbolic transformations seen with Abraham and Sarah, where adding or removing an H signifies a spiritual shift. In Hebrew tradition, the H is sacred, reinforcing this interpretation. In the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint, the H is absent, leaving only iota, alpha, and omega in Greek. Similarly, in Demotic, oral variations seem to have desacralized the name Yahweh. These linguistic choices might explain why the H is omitted in certain ancient texts. The letters omega, alpha, and epsilon reappear in the account 312 and its first message. This could signify a reclamation of this desacralization. Beyond its link to the Trinity, the choice of 312 also serves as a system of letter transformation. The 312 operator assigns specific meanings to each number. 3. The complete cycle, the Trinity, totality. 1. The central point, unity, the source. 2. Duality, choice, division. Since the first message by 312 referenced the emerald tablets in ancient Greek, let's delve into the symbolism of Greek letters. In its oral version, the tetragrammaton condenses into 3 letters, Yahoo or IAO within the letter I or Y, each rich in meaning. Epsilon, free will, bifurcation, a fundamental choice. Alpha, creation, the initial essence. Omega, fulfillment, spiritual culmination. This triple meaning, rooted in symbolic hermeneutics, predates Gnosticism while profoundly influencing it. This comprehensive symbolic architecture reveals a layered narrative. The deliberate inversions and reinterpretations present challenge traditional structures and propose a modern reimagining of spirituality. These accounts invite us to reflect on truths long hidden and the manipulation of sacred narratives. In Gnosticism, IAO is a divine name associated with intermediary forces between the supreme divine and humanity. Linked to the archons or the demiurge, it synthesizes Judaic, Greek, and Egyptian traditions. Yaldabaoth, the flawed demiurge, is depicted as arrogant and ignorant, the creator of the material world, which he claims as his exclusive domain. In the Apocryphon of John, he declares, "I am a jealous God, and there is no other God besides me." Exodus 25. For Gnostics, this declaration is evidence of his blindness to the existence of a higher principle. Identified with YHWH by some traditions, Yaldabaoth symbolizes the illusion imprisoning humanity in the material world, countering the spiritual quest for liberation. We have seen that Yahoo was the oral designation of the divine name in Hebrew culture. Reversing the letters of this name yields OY. This transformation, almost certainly intentional, constitutes the identity of these Twitter accounts, as well as their stated purpose, since the year 2012. This inversion mirrors a reflective dynamic, where the information shared by OY and 312 aims to deconstruct ancient traditions while revealing one, if not the, truth. The Twitter accounts 312 and OYAGAA-OOMO-NETWORK deliberately use symbolic letters, omega, alpha, and epsilon. These letters echo in reverse to the ancient sacred name Yahoo. This structural choice introduces a critical opposition to the foundations of the Abrahamic religions. By reversing the letters and their symbolism, these accounts seem to question the authority of the Elohim and the legitimacy of biblical narratives, suggesting a modern reinterpretation of human spirituality, closer to Gnostic and hermeneutics teachings. In ancient traditions, YHWH represented a complete divine cycle devoid of free will for humanity. Iota, the beginning, the pure cosmic origin. Alpha, creation, the initial essence. Omega, fulfillment, spiritual culmination. By reversing these letters to create OY, a new narrative structure emerges. Omega becomes the origin, an end transformed into a beginning. Alpha remains the central point representing essence. Ipsilon introduces choice and bifurcation, adding a dynamic of free will to the system. This inversion not only deconstructs, but reorganizes values to reflect a new cosmology. Here, divine duality is questioned, and free will, in echo to our contemporary crucial times, becomes a central pillar. In the name YHWH, the H is a sacred letter in Hebrew, marking spiritual elevation and divine blessing. Its role is notable in biblical narratives. Abram becomes Abraham through the addition of this H. In contrast, YHWH within its opposite, OY, appear without this H, which could be seen as a desacralization of its unworthy name, rendering it more accessible and not sacred. The Umons, through these accounts, seem to oppose the alleged divine legacy of the Elohim. By reclaiming and transforming ancient names, they reveal human spiritual history. They align with a Gnostic tradition, unveiling hidden truth and liberating humanity from ignorance. The naming choices for these Twitter accounts reflect a desire to mirror biblical narratives to expose their inconsistencies or falsehoods. By reversing letters, playing with the symbolism of the removed H, and reintroducing figures like Yahweh as a seraphim of Orion descent, they construct a narrative that links ancient traditions to a modern critique of dominant religious structures. This game of inversions and reappropriations is not solely an act of defiance. It creates a new symbolic language deeply rooted in mystical and religious traditions. OY, composed solely of the vowels O, A, and Y, contrasts with the consonants of the tetragrammaton YHWH. It becomes a direct and powerful response to YHWH, while also serving as a tool for reflection on truth and the manipulation of sacred narratives. However, it is essential to exercise discernment in our hypotheses. While exploring symbols and traditions can deepen our understanding, it can also mislead without rigorous analysis. Doubt, as our friends remind us, is a necessary and healthy discipline. This is why we humbly emphasize that we impose nothing. We merely share a theory that in our view makes sense and might be enriched by the community. We do not pass judgment. We are simply in pursuit of what is true, without falsehood, and most true. In this endeavor, we do not shy away from contemplating ideas that to some may seem transgressive. We apologize if they are perceived as such, as our intent is not to harm anyone's beliefs. It is important to distinguish between verifiable facts and speculative interpretations to avoid falling into the trap of misinformation. What is fascinating is how every element fits seamlessly with others, creating a system that works on symbolic, mathematical, and conceptual levels. The whole forms a remarkably elaborate architecture of meaning.